Discovery number 1. Göbekli Tepe, Southeast Turkey. 1994. German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt was surveying the area. Local farmers had long known about the hill called Göbekli Tepe. Potbelly Hill. Nothing special, just another mound. Schmidt saw something different, the way stones protruded from the ground. Their arrangement. He started excavating. What he found changed our understanding of human civilization. Göbekli Tepe is a massive temple complex, built 11,600 years ago, 9600 BCE, before agriculture, before pottery, before writing, before the wheel, before metallurgy. This shouldn't exist. We thought civilization developed in a specific order. First, humans invented agriculture, settled down, grew crops, built permanent villages. Then, once they had surplus food and time, they built temples and monuments. Civilization came after farming. Göbekli Tepe proves that sequence wrong. This temple was built by hunter-gatherers, people who still hunted animals and gathered wild plants, mobile groups without permanent settlements. Yet they constructed massive stone pillars, carved intricate reliefs, created a complex ceremonial center. The pillars are T-shaped, limestone, up to 20 tons each, arranged in circles. Over 200 pillars discovered so far, and geomagnetic surveys suggest much more remains buried, possibly 20 circles total. The carvings are sophisticated. Animals everywhere: foxes, boars, snakes, scorpions, birds, lions, bulls, ducks, all carved in relief on the pillars. Some pillars have human-like arms carved on the sides, hands at waist level, as if the pillars represent stylized humans. Who built this? How did hunter-gatherers organize labor on this scale? Moving 20-ton stones requires hundreds of people. Carving them requires skilled artisans. Feeding everyone during construction requires massive food resources. And why? Why did mobile hunter-gatherers invest this effort? What purpose did this temple serve? Some researchers propose Göbekli Tepe represents the birthplace of agriculture. Maybe gathering for religious ceremonies created the need for reliable food sources. Communities met here regularly, needed to feed large groups. This pressure drove experimentation with cultivating wild plants. Religion preceded agriculture, not the other way around. Others suggest it's evidence of a lost civilization, that advanced cultures existed before the last ice age ended, that Göbekli Tepe is a remnant. This is more speculative. No evidence supports a pre-ice age advanced civilization, but Göbekli Tepe definitely shows our timeline was wrong. Around 8200 BCE, Göbekli Tepe was deliberately buried. The builders filled in the circles with debris, covered everything with soil, preserved it perfectly, then abandoned the site. Why? Nobody knows. The discovery forced archaeologists to reconsider the Neolithic revolution, the transition from hunting-gathering to agriculture. We thought farming enabled civilization. Göbekli Tepe suggests civilization enabled farming, or at least that the relationship was more complex than we believed. It's now a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Ongoing excavations continue. Archaeologists estimate they've uncovered less than 5% of the site. What else is buried there? What other surprises wait? Göbekli Tepe rewrote the history of human civilization, pushed back the timeline for monumental architecture, showed that hunter-gatherers were capable of far more than we credited, and raised fundamental questions about what drove humans to create civilization in the first place. Moving to Discovery 2. Discovery number 2. The Antikythera mechanism, 1900. Greek sponge divers discovered a Roman-era shipwreck off Antikythera Island, between Crete and mainland Greece. The ship sank around 70 to 60 BCE, nearly 2,000 years underwater. The divers recovered statues, pottery, coins, and one corroded lump of bronze and wood. Nobody paid much attention to it. Looked like scrap. It sat in storage at the National Archaeological Museum in Athens. Then, in 1902, archaeologist Valerio Stais noticed something. The lump had a gear wheel embedded in it. Ancient civilizations didn't make complex geared devices, or so everyone thought. Over the following decades, researchers studied the corroded artifact. X-rays revealed an impossibly complex mechanism. Dozens of interlocking gears, precise teeth counts, sophisticated engineering. Nothing like it was known from the ancient world. It took until the 21st century to fully understand what it was. The Antikythera mechanism is an ancient Greek analog computer, built to predict astronomical positions and eclipses, probably constructed around 87 BCE, perhaps by followers of the astronomer Hipparchus. The mechanism has at least 30 bronze gears, different sizes, different tooth counts. They work together in a complex gear train. Input is a hand crank. As you turn it, the gears calculate. Output is multiple dials showing positions of the sun, moon, planets, and eclipses. The front dial shows the Egyptian calendar and the Greek zodiac. The upper back dial is a spiral showing the Metonic calendar, 19-year cycle of lunar months. The lower back dial shows the Saros cycle, predicting eclipses, 18-year pattern. It could predict the position of the moon with remarkable accuracy, could forecast solar and lunar eclipses years in advance, could show planetary positions, all mechanically, no electricity, no computers, just gears and cranks. The precision is extraordinary. Some gears have 223 teeth, others have 53. The ratios are exact, designed to replicate astronomical cycles. The craftsmanship required is incredibly advanced. Fine gear teeth, differential gearing, epicyclic gearing similar to modern automatic transmissions. Nothing this complex appears again in historical record for over 1,000 years. Medieval Islamic devices from the 11th century. European astronomical clocks from the 14th century. But even those weren't as sophisticated in some ways. Where did this technology come from? Did the Greeks have a tradition of precision engineering we've lost? Were there other devices like this that haven't survived? The Antikythera mechanism suggests an entire technological capability that disappeared. Ancient texts mention similar devices. Cicero described a device made by Archimedes that showed planetary motions, but everyone assumed these were simple orreries, models, not mechanical computers. The mechanism proves ancient Greeks had advanced understanding of astronomy and mathematics, and the engineering to build precision mechanical devices. This was high technology for its time, and it was lost. Why? Probably because each mechanism was handcrafted, required master artisans. When the knowledge holders died without passing on their skills, the technology died with them. And bronze is recyclable. Most ancient bronze got melted down and reused over centuries. The Antikythera mechanism survived only because it sank in a shipwreck. Modern reconstructions have been built, using ancient techniques. They work. They accurately predict eclipses, show planetary positions, confirm the ancient Greeks could do this 2,000 years ago. The Antikythera mechanism rewrote our understanding of ancient technology, showed that ancient civilizations could achieve sophisticated engineering. That knowledge can be lost, that we shouldn't assume the past was primitive, and it raises a question. What else did they build that we've lost? What other technologies existed that left no trace? Moving to Discovery 3 in Part 2. Discovery number 3. The Rosetta Stone. 1899. Egypt under French occupation during Napoleon's campaign. French soldiers were building fortifications near the town of Rosetta. Rashid in Arabic, Nile Delta. A soldier named Pierre-François Bouchard found a large stone, broken slab of granodiorite, dark gray rock, covered in 3 different scripts, Greek at the bottom, Demotic Egyptian in the middle, hieroglyphics at the top. The stone was clearly important. The French recognized the Greek text mentioned Ptolemy V, a decree from 196 BCE. But more importantly, they realized this might be the key to understanding hieroglyphics. For centuries, nobody could read ancient Egyptian hieroglyphics. The knowledge was lost when Egypt converted to Christianity and Islam. The old writing system was forgotten, temples and monuments covered in text nobody could understand. The Rosetta Stone provided the same text in 3 languages. Greek was known. Demotic was partially understood. Hieroglyphics were a complete mystery. If scholars could match the texts, they could decode hieroglyphics. It took decades. Many scholars tried. Thomas Young made progress identifying some hieroglyphic signs. But the breakthrough came from Jean-François Champollion, French scholar and linguist. In 1822, he successfully deciphered the hieroglyphic text. Champollion realized hieroglyphics weren't purely symbolic. They combined phonetic and ideographic elements. Some signs represented sounds, others represented concepts. This hybrid system was complex, but logical once understood. The decipherment opened ancient Egypt. Suddenly, thousands of years of Egyptian texts became readable. Temple walls, tomb inscriptions, papyri, religious texts, historical records, administrative documents, an entire civilization's written record unlocked. We learned about pharaohs known only from later Greek accounts, confirmed dynasties, understood religious beliefs, read poetry, studied medicine, discovered literature, the Book of the Dead, the pyramid texts, the instruction of Ptahhotep. Egyptian chronology became precise, dates aligned, king lists verified, historical events documented. We could reconstruct Egyptian history from their own words, not just from archaeology or foreign accounts. The Rosetta Stone itself is unspectacular. A tax decree, priestly exemptions, administrative details, nothing historically significant in its content. But as a tool, it unlocked 3,000 years of civilization. It's now in the British Museum. Egypt wants it back. France disputes British ownership since they took it after defeating French forces. Egypt claims its stolen cultural heritage. The debate continues. But the impact is undeniable. The Rosetta Stone gave us ancient Egypt, their language, their literature, their history. It rewrote what we knew about one of history's greatest civilizations and demonstrated the power of multilingual texts for decipherment. Without it, we might still be guessing what hieroglyphics meant. Ancient Egypt would remain mysterious, silent monuments, unread texts, lost voices, moving to Discovery 4. Discovery number 4. The Dead Sea Scrolls, 1947, Qumran, West Bank near the Dead Sea. A Bedouin shepherd boy named Muhammad Ed-Deeb was looking for a lost goat. He threw a stone into a cave, heard pottery breaking. Inside the cave, he found large ceramic jars. Inside the jars, ancient scrolls, wrapped in linen, written on parchment and papyrus. He didn't know what they were, took them to an antiquities dealer in Bethlehem. Eventually, scholars recognized them. Hebrew texts. Very old, dating to around 200 BCE to 100 CE. The oldest known manuscripts of the Hebrew Bible, by over 1,000 years. Over the next decade, more caves were discovered. 11 caves total, containing approximately 900 documents, some complete scrolls, most fragmentary, tens of thousands of pieces, a massive jigsaw puzzle. The scrolls include biblical texts, books of the Hebrew Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Isaiah, Psalms, almost every book represented. The text is remarkably consistent with modern Hebrew Bibles, showing careful transmission over 2 millennia. But the scrolls also include previously unknown texts, sectarian documents, rules for a religious community, apocalyptic visions, biblical commentaries, prayers and hymns. These reveal a Jewish sect living near Qumran, probably the Essenes, a group mentioned by ancient historians but known only vaguely. The scrolls describe their beliefs, strict purity laws, communal property, ritual immersions, messianic expectations, awaiting 2 messiahs, one priestly, one kingly. This was Judaism in the time of Jesus. Diverse, complex, multiple sects with different interpretations. The biblical texts are crucial for textual criticism. Before the Dead Sea Scrolls, the oldest complete Hebrew Bible was the Leningrad Codex, 1008 CE, over 1,000 years after Jesus. The scrolls pushed that back by a millennium. Scholars could now see how accurately the Bible was transmitted. Very accurately, it turns out. The Isaiah scroll from Qumran is almost identical to modern versions, minor spelling differences. But the text is stable. The scrolls also showed variation. Different versions of some books. Samuel and Jeremiah have variant editions. This reveals how biblical texts developed. They weren't static. They were edited, revised. Different communities had different versions. For understanding early Christianity, the scrolls are invaluable. They show the Jewish context Jesus lived in, the ideas circulating, messianic expectations, end times beliefs, ritual purity concerns. Early Christians came from this world. The scrolls help us understand them. Controversies surrounded the scrolls. Access was restricted for decades. A small team of scholars controlled them. Others complained about the monopoly. Finally, in the 1990s, all scrolls were published. Now anyone can study them. Some people claimed the scrolls contained secrets, hidden teachings, proof of conspiracy theories about Jesus. None of that is true. The scrolls are important for scholarship, but they don't overturn Christianity or Judaism. They enrich our understanding of both. The Dead Sea Scrolls rewrote biblical history, gave us our oldest biblical manuscripts, revealed Second Temple Judaism in detail, showed textual development, and demonstrated that ancient texts can survive in the right conditions. They're now housed in the Israel Museum, the Shrine of the Book, a distinctive white dome, where the most important scrolls are displayed, a reminder of what archaeology can recover, and how much we're still learning about the past. Moving to Discovery 5 in Part 3. Discovery number 5. Tutankhamun's Tomb. November 4th, 1922. Valley of the Kings, Egypt. British archaeologist Howard Carter had been searching for years. Funded by Lord Carnarvon, looking for the tomb of a minor pharaoh. Tutankhamun, boy king who died young, ruled only 9 years, 14 to 18 BCE. Most royal tombs in the valley had been found and looted. Carter believed one remained, Tutankhamun, but his funding was running out. This was his last season, last chance. A water boy working for the expedition noticed something, a step cut into the rock. Carter investigated. More steps appeared, a stairway descending, 16 steps total, leading to a sealed doorway. Carter sent a telegram to Carnarvon. At last have made wonderful discovery in valley. A magnificent tomb with seals intact, recovered same for your arrival. Congratulations. November 26th. Carnarvon arrived. They opened the doorway, revealed a corridor filled with rubble, ancient debris deliberately packed in. To deter thieves, they cleared it, found another sealed door. Carter made a small hole, held up a candle, looked inside. Carnarvon asked, "Can you see anything?" Carter replied, "Yes, wonderful things." The tomb contained 4 rooms: the antechamber, the burial chamber, the treasury, the annex, all filled with artifacts, over 5,000 objects, golden furniture, chariots, weapons, clothing, food, wine, jewelry, games, musical instruments, and the sarcophagus, 3 nested coffins. The innermost was solid gold, 243 pounds of gold. Inside, the mummy of Tutankhamun, still wearing a golden death mask, one of the most iconic artifacts in archaeology. His face in gold, lapis lazuli and turquoise inlays. This was the first royal tomb found largely intact. Previous discoveries had been looted, stripped, the treasures stolen millennia ago. But Tutankhamun's tomb, though entered twice by ancient thieves, was substantially complete. Why? Because Tutankhamun was a minor king, died young. His tomb was modest by royal standards, and crucially, it was buried when later tombs were built above it. Hidden, forgotten, protected by accident. The discovery transformed Egyptology. Here was a complete burial assemblage, everything needed for the afterlife according to Egyptian beliefs. We could see how royalty was buried, the rituals, the provisions, the symbolism. The objects revealed daily life in ancient Egypt, what they ate, how they dressed, their furniture styles, musical instruments, religious practices, medical knowledge, perfumes, cosmetics, everything preserved for 3,000 years. Tutankhamun became the most famous pharaoh, not because he was important historically. He wasn't. He was a minor king, restored traditional religion after his father Akhenaten's radical reforms, but otherwise unremarkable. Yet his tomb made him immortal. The curse legends emerged. Carnarvon died 5 months after opening the tomb. Blood poisoning from an infected mosquito bite. Media sensationalized it. Curse of the pharaohs. Other deaths followed. People connected to the excavation, all explained by natural causes. But the legend persists. The artifacts toured the world. Treasures of Tutankhamun exhibition. Millions saw them. Museums in multiple countries. The golden mask became an icon. Egyptian tourism boomed. Tutmania swept the globe in the 1970s. The tomb rewrote our understanding of New Kingdom royal burials, showed the wealth and artistry, the religious beliefs, the funerary practices, and demonstrated that major discoveries could still be made even in well-explored areas. The treasures are in the Egyptian Museum in Cairo, and the new Grand Egyptian Museum opening soon. Tutankhamun rests in his tomb in the Valley of the Kings, where Howard Carter found him. After 3,000 years of waiting, moving to Discovery number 6, Terracotta Army, March 1974. Xi'an, China. Shanxi Province. Farmers were digging a well during a drought. Need water for their crops. They hit something hard about 4 meters down. Pottery, broken pieces. They kept digging, found a clay head, a human head, life-sized, incredibly detailed. Then more pieces, torsos, arms, legs. What was this? Local officials were notified. Archaeologists arrived, realized what the farmers had found, a tomb complex. The mausoleum of Qin Shi Huang, first emperor of China, who unified China in 221 BCE, died 210 BCE. But this wasn't the emperor's tomb itself. This was part of the burial complex, a massive pit containing thousands of life-size terracotta soldiers, arranged in battle formation. Excavations revealed the scale. 3 pits containing over 8,000 soldiers, 130 chariots, 670 horses, all life-sized, all individually crafted. No 2 faces identical. The soldiers stand in formation. Infantry, archers, cavalry, generals. Different ranks wear different armor, different hairstyles, different positions, some kneeling, some standing, arranged as if ready for battle. The craftsmanship is extraordinary. Each soldier was individually modeled, features sculpted, hair detailed, hands positioned, then fired in kilns. They were originally painted. Bright colors. Most paint has flaked off after 2,000 years. But traces remain. They held real weapons. Bronze swords, spears, crossbows. The weapons were stolen shortly after burial, probably by rebels who sacked the tomb complex. But some remain. The bronze swords are still sharp, remarkably preserved. Some coated with chromium, an anti-rust technology not reinvented until the 20th century. Why were they built? Ancient Chinese believed the dead needed provisions for the afterlife. Earlier dynasties buried actual people. Human sacrifice. The Qin dynasty substituted clay figures, 8,000 soldiers to protect the emperor in death. The emperor's actual tomb remains unexcavated. It's a massive pyramid-shaped mound. Ancient texts describe it. Mercury rivers, astronomical ceiling, crossbows rigged to kill intruders. We don't know if that's accurate. Ground tests show high mercury levels, suggesting mercury might actually be there. But Chinese authorities won't excavate. The technology for preserving what's inside doesn't exist yet. They saw what happened to the terracotta soldiers, paint flaking off when exposed to air. Better to leave it sealed until preservation methods improve. The Terracotta Army revealed the power and organization of the Qin dynasty, the resources to create this, the artisans, the kilns, the logistics. This wasn't just an emperor's tomb. This was a statement. The emperor commanded armies in death as in life. It rewrote Chinese history, showed the sophistication of Qin craftsmanship, the military organization, the beliefs about the afterlife, and demonstrated that major archaeological sites still lie undiscovered, even near modern cities. The site is now a museum, one of China's top tourist attractions. People come from around the world to see the silent army, standing guard for 2,000 years, waiting for an emperor who will never return. Moving to Discovery 7 in Part 4. Discovery number 7. Machu Picchu, July 24, 1911. Hiram Bingham, American historian from Yale University, was searching for Vilcabamba, the last Inca capital, where the Inca retreated after Spanish conquest, somewhere in the Peruvian Andes. A local farmer named Melchor Arteaga told Bingham about ruins on a mountain ridge, Machu Picchu, Old Peak in Quechua. Bingham hired Arteaga as a guide, climbed through dangerous terrain, steep slopes, dense vegetation. At the top, he found stone structures, intact buildings, terraces, plazas, a city, abandoned, covered in jungle, but remarkably preserved. Bingham thought he'd found Vilcabamba. He hadn't. That was discovered later elsewhere, but he'd found something arguably more significant. Machu Picchu, an Inca royal estate, built around 1450 CE, abandoned around 1572 after Spanish conquest. The site is extraordinary, built on a mountain ridge, 8,000 feet elevation, between two peaks, Huayna Picchu and Machu Picchu Mountain, overlooking the Urubamba River Valley, 1,500 feet below. The construction is masterful. Inca stonework at its finest. Massive blocks fitted together without mortar, so precisely you can't fit a knife blade between them. Earthquake resistant. The stones shift slightly during tremors, then settle back. Still standing after 500 years. The city has distinct sectors: urban, agricultural, religious, about 200 structures, residences, temples, storage buildings, the Intihuatana stone, a ritual stone associated with astronomy, the Temple of the Sun, the Room of the Three Windows. Why was it built? Probably as an estate for Inca Emperor Pachacuti, a retreat, a sacred site, perhaps a place for astronomical observations. The Inca were sophisticated astronomers. Machu Picchu's location offers clear views of celestial events. Why was it abandoned? The Spanish conquest disrupted Inca society. Smallpox spread before the Spanish even arrived, killed much of the population. The Inca elite retreated to Vilcabamba. Machu Picchu was left behind. Too remote, too difficult to supply. The jungle reclaimed it. Local people knew about it, but it wasn't publicized internationally until Bingham's visit. He took photographs, wrote articles, brought artifacts back to Yale, created international awareness. Controversy followed. Peru claims Yale took artifacts illegally, wants them returned. After legal battles, Yale returned some items in 2011, 100 years after discovery. But disputes continue about others. Machu Picchu became a symbol of Inca civilization, of pre-Columbian achievement. It shows the Inca were master builders, engineers, astronomers. They built cities in impossible locations, created agricultural terraces that still work, constructed buildings that survive earthquakes. It also shows how much was lost. The Spanish destroyed most Inca sites, melted gold, toppled stones, built churches over temples. Machu Picchu survived because it was hidden, forgotten, protected by its remoteness. It's now Peru's most visited tourist site, UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1983, one of the new 7 wonders of the world. Nearly 1.5 million visitors annually. Conservation is a challenge. Too many tourists damage the site. Peru implements visitor limits, restricts access to certain areas. Machu Picchu rewrote our understanding of Inca capabilities, showed their architectural and engineering sophistication, revealed a complete Inca city, and demonstrated that significant sites could be found even in the 20th century. The city stands as testament to a civilization destroyed by conquest, but not erased. Machu Picchu survived, silent, waiting to tell its story. Moving to Discovery 8. Discovery number 8. Pompeii, 1748, Kingdom of Naples. Workers were digging a well near the town of Torre Annunziata, southern Italy. They kept finding statues, walls, buildings under the ground. Local noblemen realized something significant was buried, started organized excavations, discovered Pompeii, ancient Roman city, buried by volcanic eruption, Mount Vesuvius. August 24, 79 CE. The eruption was catastrophic. Pliny the Younger witnessed it from across the Bay of Naples, described it in letters. Massive column of ash and pumice, rising miles into the sky, pyroclastic flows, superheated gas and rock, moving at hundreds of miles per hour, engulfing everything. Pompeii was buried under 13 to 20 feet of ash and pumice, preserved, frozen in time, buildings intact, artwork preserved, objects in place, and people caught in the eruption, bodies buried in ash, decomposed over centuries, leaving human-shaped voids. Excavations revealed an entire Roman city, streets, houses, shops, baths, theaters, amphitheaters, temples, brothels, taverns, everything. Daily life preserved. The houses contained frescoes, wall paintings, still vibrant after 2,000 years. Mythological scenes, gardens, architecture, portraits, some quite erotic, showing Roman attitudes toward sex. More open than Victorian excavators expected. Graffiti-covered walls, political slogans, insults, love declarations, advertisements. Marcus loves Spendusa. Successus, the weaver loves Iris. Theophilus, don't perform oral sex on girls against the city wall like a dog. Romans wrote everything. Bakeries with bread still in ovens, carbonized, perfectly preserved. Fish sauce factories, garum. Roman condiment, wine bars with amphoras, brothels with price lists painted on walls, everything documented, and the bodies. Archaeologist Giuseppe Fiorelli developed a technique: pour plaster into the voids left by decomposed bodies. The plaster hardens, shows exact position and posture. People covering their faces, huddled together, trying to escape, frozen forever. About 1,100 casts have been made. Men, women, children, animals, a dog, chained, unable to escape. The eruption preserved their final moments, their terror, their humanity. Pompeii rewrote Roman history. Before Pompeii, we knew about Rome from texts and ruins. But texts are written by elites. Ruins are just stones. Pompeii showed how ordinary Romans lived. Their homes, their food, their businesses, their entertainment, their beliefs. We learned about Roman technology, plumbing systems, central heating, construction techniques, engineering, more advanced than medieval Europe would achieve 1,000 years later. We learned about Roman society. Slavery was everywhere. Graffiti shows a literate population, not just aristocrats. Shopkeepers and workers could read and write. Social mobility existed, freedmen becoming wealthy. We learned about Roman religion, multiple cults, Egyptian gods, mystery religions, traditional Roman deities, Judaism, early Christianity, all coexisting. Religious diversity was normal. Excavations continue. About 2/3 of Pompeii has been uncovered. 1/3 remains buried. New discoveries happen regularly. New houses, new frescoes, new insights. Nearby Herculaneum was also buried. Smaller town, better preserved in some ways. Buried deeper. More organic material survived. Wood, food, papyri. A library was found. Carbonized scrolls. Scientists are developing technology to read them without unrolling them, using particle accelerators, revealing ancient texts thought lost. Pompeii became a symbol of catastrophe and of preservation, destruction and revelation. The eruption was tragedy, but it gave us a window into the past, clearer than almost anywhere else, a Roman city, perfectly preserved, waiting to teach us. Moving to the final 2 discoveries in Part 5. Discovery number 9, the Lascaux Caves. September 12, 1940, German-occupied France. 4 teenagers near Montignac, Dordogne region, were exploring the countryside. Their dog robot disappeared down a hole. Went to find him. The hole led to a cave. The boys descended. Inside, they found something extraordinary. The walls were covered in paintings. Animals, horses, aurochs, deer, bison, large, detailed, colorful, ochre, charcoal, mineral pigments, but not recent, very old. The boys realized this was important, told their former schoolteacher. He notified archaeologist Henri Breuil. Breuil examined the cave, confirmed the paintings were prehistoric, Paleolithic, approximately 17,000 years old. The Lascaux caves contain nearly 600 paintings, over 1,400 engravings, multiple chambers, the Hall of the Bulls, the Painted Gallery, the Shaft of the Dead Man, nearly 200 feet of passages. The paintings are sophisticated, not crude stick figures, realistic animals, movement captured, muscle definition, perspective suggested, overlapping figures creating depth. These artists understood anatomy, understood composition. Some animals are recognizable species: horses, aurochs, extinct wild cattle, red deer, bison. Others are harder to identify. The unicorn, a creature with 2 straight horns, might be wearing a mask. Nobody's sure. The Shaft of the Dead Man is mysterious, shows a bison, a human figure, falling or lying down, a bird on a pole. What does it mean? A hunting scene? A ritual? A myth? We don't know. It's one of the few human figures in Lascaux. The paintings used natural pigments: ochre for red and yellow, manganese and charcoal for black, ground into powder, mixed with binders, fat, blood, water, applied with fingers, brushes, blown through tubes, achieving different textures. Dating puts most paintings around 15,000 to 17,000 BCE, Upper Paleolithic. The Magdalenian culture, hunter-gatherers, no agriculture, no permanent settlements, yet creating complex art. Why? That's the question. Why did prehistoric humans paint deep in caves? These aren't dwelling spaces. Too deep, too dark, no light, no habitation debris. People didn't live here. They came here specifically to paint. Some theories suggest ritual, religious ceremonies, shamanic practices. The animals had spiritual significance. Painting them was magical, to ensure successful hunts, to connect with animal spirits. Others propose art for art's sake, humans expressing creativity, telling stories, decorating sacred spaces, like we decorate churches. These caves were special, places of meaning. Art honored that. The discovery of Lascaux changed how we view prehistoric humans. Before, they were seen as primitive, barely above animals. But these paintings show intelligence, creativity, abstract thinking, skill. These were fully modern humans, cognitively identical to us. Lascaux opened to tourists in 1948. Thousands visited daily, but the humidity from breath and body heat damaged the paintings. Fungus grew, colors faded. In 1963, the cave was closed to protect it. Now only researchers enter. A replica cave, Lascaux II, was built nearby. For tourists, it's painstakingly accurate. Visitors can see what the original looked like. Without damaging it, Lascaux rewrote our understanding of prehistoric art, showed that sophisticated art existed 17,000 years ago, that our ancestors were capable of creating beauty, of expressing themselves, of leaving messages that would survive millennia. The paintings remind us that humans have always been creative, always sought to express themselves, to leave their mark. These artists couldn't write, had no cities, no technology, but they had art. And through that art, they're still speaking to us. Moving to the final discovery. Discovery number 10. Lucy, Australopithecus afarensis, November 24, 1974. Hadar, Ethiopia. Afar region. Paleoanthropologist Donald Johansen was surveying, looking for fossils. His team had been searching for weeks, found some animal bones, but nothing spectacular. Johansen decided to check one more gully before returning to camp. His student Tom Gray accompanied him. They were walking back. Johansen glanced down, saw a piece of arm bone. Hominid, human ancestor. They searched the area, found more bones, a lot more. Pieces of skeleton scattered down the slope. Femur, ribs, vertebrae, jaw, skull fragments. About 40% of a complete skeleton. Extraordinary. Hominid fossils are usually fragmentary. A tooth, a jaw, maybe a skull. Never this much. That night, the camp celebrated. Someone played Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds by the Beatles. The skeleton needed a name. They called her Lucy. Lucy is Australopithecus afarensis, 3.2 million years old, female, about 3.5 feet tall, around 60 pounds, young adult when she died. The skeleton revealed crucial information. Lucy walked upright, bipedal. Her pelvis, knee, and foot bones prove it, but she retained adaptations for climbing. Curved fingers, long arms. She could walk on the ground and climb trees. Her brain was small, about the size of a chimpanzee's, 450 cubic centimeters. Modern humans average 1,300. So Lucy wasn't human, but she was bipedal. Walking upright evolved before large brains. That was a revelation. Before Lucy, scientists debated when bipedalism emerged. Some thought large brains came first, that intelligence drove walking upright. Lucy proved the opposite. Walking upright came first. Brain expansion came later. Why did bipedalism evolve? Theories vary. Standing upright reduces sun exposure, less body surface in direct sunlight, cooler, efficient in open savanna. Or it freed hands to carry food, tools, infants, or it allowed seeing over tall grass, spotting predators and prey. Lucy's species, Australopithecus afarensis, lived in East Africa between 3.9 and 2.9 million years ago. We have fossils from multiple individuals now. Lucy was the first substantial find, but others followed. Footprints at Latoli, Tanzania, preserved in volcanic ash, 3.6 million years old. 2 or 3 individuals walked across wet ash, left tracks. The ash hardened, preserved the footprints, proving afarensis was bipedal. The footprints show a gait like ours. Lucy's discovery rewrote human evolution, showed bipedalism was ancient, predating large brains by over 1 million years. This changed how we understand what makes us human. Walking upright was the first step. Literally. Brain growth came later. Lucy also sparked public interest in human origins. She became famous. Her skeleton toured the world. Millions saw her. She had a name, a personality. People connected with her. She wasn't just a fossil, she was an individual, an ancestor. Lucy died young, around 12 years old by some estimates. Others say older. How she died is unknown. No signs of predation or disease on the bones. She might have fallen from a tree. Drowned? Starved? We'll never know. But she ended up in sediment. Buried, fossilized, waiting 3 million years to be found. Lucy remains one of the most important hominin fossils ever discovered. She's housed at the National Museum of Ethiopia in Addis Ababa. A cast is displayed. The real bones kept safe. Too precious to risk. Her discovery fundamentally changed how we understand where we came from. She's not our direct ancestor. Australopithecus afarensis is a side branch, but she's close. Related species led to Homo, led to us. Lucy shows us what our distant relatives looked like, how they moved, how they lived. She's a reminder that humans have a deep history, millions of years. We evolved, slowly, step by step, from creatures that barely resemble us. But Lucy walked upright, like we do. She looked up at the same stars, walked the same earth, and now, across 3 million years, we've found her.